Gear acquisition syndrome. Now, if you're a musician, you're probably well acquainted with this term, and possibly only days removed from your last bout of it. Now, ironically enough, some of you probably stumbled upon this video while looking for a review of a pedal that you desperately want. Now, nobody is immune to this. One minute you're happily playing your rig, the next minute someone posts a link to a boutique fuzz pedal, it all goes downhill and you find yourself in an 8-hour frenzied research quest into every conceivable device that produces a square wave. Now when you finally come to, you realize that you're operating a vehicle, driving home from the music store, you have a maxed out Visa, and in the passenger seat beside you is a brand new boutique fuzz pedal. Now how did this happen? Just a few days ago you were so happy with your tone and your rig, you thought everything was perfect, until you realized that your happiness and success as a guitarist hinged solely on this new pedal. Now this was the missing link. This is going to get you the gigs, this is going to ultimately skyrocket you to international superstardom, we know that. Now you're going to be thanking a germanium fuzz in your Grammy acceptance speech, that's just a given. Now, inevitably you no sooner Velcro that brand new pedal to your overflowing pedal board, and the cycle starts over. Ooh, my modulation section is kind of lacking. Now, if you're a millionaire, feel free to skip this video, while the rest of us consider what might be a healthier musical and financial approach to being a guitarist on a budget. And now, there's nothing wrong with getting new gear. I'm not saying that. Getting new gear is inspiring. It makes you play differently, it makes you think differently when you create different tones, so there's nothing wrong with that. Now, while spending hours on YouTube and gear forums comparing the transparency of the Klon to its latest challenger might be fun, it comes with a lost opportunity cost. Now for most of us, that time spent on forums and on the internet would probably be better spent woodshedding to try to get to the point where we can make the overdrives we have now sound good just by virtue of our own chops. Now unless you're Guthrie or Brent Mason, spending hours researching the very subtle nuances of your crunch tone is going to have a marginal positive benefit in terms of getting you towards where you want to be. Now I'm guilty of this too. I went through a phase of replacing every conceivable component in my chain with boutique, low capacitance, analog, everything. So I'm there with you. So now that we've removed that Soldano Super Lead from our musician's friend shopping cart, what can we do to fill that inevitable musical void in our hearts? 1. Reconfigure your pedal board. No, seriously. Now each pedal reacts differently to the order that it's placed in your signal chain. And while it may not be that same bump of consumer dopamine that you'll get from buying new gear, it may be enough to get you out of that tonal slump and back into the inspired category. Now you can read endless discussion about which order your pedals should go in, and there is obviously a lot of merit to these benchmarks that people have established in terms of where they should be in the signal chain. But that's not to say that putting them out of that specific order isn't going to result in something interesting that may be inspiring to you. Here's just one small example. I'm sure as a guitar player you've done this before, but try taking your delay, if you're using time-based effects, in your effects loop, and bring it to the front of the amp. It's going to immediately sound different. Number 2, set everything to 0. Now, if you're a purist or you're just too lazy to tear apart that impeccably lava-cabled board of yours, try setting everything to 0 after your next practice or rehearsal. Just once you're done, you shut off your amp, put down your guitar, just roll everything back to 0, and the next time you come, you're going to have to start from that neutral place. What that's going to do is 2 things. It's going to force you to reevaluate what you really look for in a tone, what you like about the tone, and it's going to be an excellent boot camp in being able to dial that tone in really quickly and to know what things you're looking for. Now, forcing yourself to go from scratch occasionally has its merits. Now, if nothing else, this is going to be a great primer for using other people's gears, for playing in music stores, for using backline equipment, or any situation where you have to quickly set up, plug in, and get a suitable tone that's going to represent you, and it's going to be pleasing to the people you're playing for. You've got to be a tone assassin, in a sense. You've got to be able to recreate those tones to a certain degree from your practice space, your bedroom, in a live situation, so you can feel good about it, be inspired, and sound like you, because that's your voice. 3. Watch demos of stuff you already own. I do this all the time. If I'm struck by an acute case of gas, I'll quickly queue up a video of a pedal or something that I already own just to see what other people are doing with it. It inspires you to tweak new tones of it, see what other people are doing with it, and kind of explore the possibilities of how it can interact with your other pieces of gear. You'd be surprised at the amount of variation that can come with just a simple modification of some of the tools you already have. Your finger tone, your vibrato, the style in general that you play. Watch how others use the gear and try to emulate it. You've got to think outside the box if we want to avoid that crushing guilt that comes inevitably from clicking place order on that thing that you really can't afford yet. Trust me, I bought a Two-Rock CRS V3 at work one day when I was bored and had too many coffees. Yes, gear is an investment. Yes, there really is a difference between low-end and boutique gear. No one will argue that. Before you take the leap, just for a moment consider what's going to get you closer to your goal of being the best improviser in the world or the fastest chicken picker. Now, if I was betting, I would put my money on practice over products. So tell me in the comments below what you're currently gassing for, because let's be realistic, gas is not curable. It's only manageable. Happy woodshedding, and I'll see you next time.